Hey guys, welcome to our first Ed Puzzle of the year. Just in case that we have to go virtual, we have this option that we'll be using throughout the year, and this is the first of many that we'll be doing. We're going to finish up the chapter today, talking about or continuing to talk about a topic we've already discussed, which is the election of 1860, and we're going to look at Southern secession. I know we already have some of this in our notes, but I'm going to start back from the beginning of this topic, just so we're all on the same page. So the election of 1860 shows that basically politics are out the window. Parties don't matter anymore. All that matters is your sectional interest, right? Your area of the country. And we're going to see that really the ultimate issue here is popular sovereignty and what to do with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, right? If you remember Stephen Douglas's idea that we're going to let the territories or the states decide what to do, that's really been the issue that's pulling apart the parties, in particular the Democratic Party. So in 1860, they have the opportunity to nominate someone to run for the presidency. Everyone assumes it will be Douglas. So when we go to the convention, which we talked about last week, the Democrats nominate Stephen Douglas as their guy. However, the Southerners are pissed at him, right? After what he did at the Lincoln-Douglas debates, when he said that popular sovereignty is above the Dred Scott case, Southern Democrats are done with him. And they storm out of the convention, actually leave, they go next door, they have their own convention. And they're going to nominate a guy named John C. Breckinridge, a Southerner from Georgia. So you have two candidates already from the Democratic Party. Then a third group emerges from what are called the border states. States like Delaware, Maryland, Kentucky, Missouri, states that aren't willing necessarily to take a stand on popular sovereignty, but instead just want to keep the Union together. So they're going to form their own party called the Constitutional Union Party and nominate a guy named John Bell. So you have three Democrats that are running for the presidency. Right, you think today if you had like Biden, Clinton, and Sanders all running together against each other, they're going to split the votes. The Republicans are also dealing with their own issues. They don't really know what to do about the issue of slavery. How extreme do they go in their views on slavery? So the initial guy that everyone thought would be nominated is a guy named William Henry Seward. And he's an extreme abolitionist, much like a William Lloyd Garrison or a John Brown. And that's fearful to a lot of people. That's just too extreme. So instead, they nominate Abraham Lincoln, who's a lot more moderate, right? We know from hearing about Lincoln that he does not want to abolish slavery. He just wants to stop it from expanding where it is. And since the Lincoln-Douglas debates, has gotten a lot of national appeal. So you have Lincoln's the Republican versus the three Democratic candidates. And what we see from this map here is that clearly sectional politics just don't matter anymore, right? National politics don't matter anymore. It's purely sectional politics. And this map is very clear in dividing the country that way, right? Lincoln is going to win. He wins with 39% of the popular vote, but he wins with an overwhelming majority of the electoral vote, which you can see here, and that's really all that matters. His name is not on a single ballot in any of the yellow states that you see there. They refuse to put him on there. That's how fearful they are that he's going to invade them. Again, remember, based off everything we talked about in the Lincoln-Douglas debates. So they don't even put him on the ballot. He can't even be chosen. So as a result, he does not win the South for obvious reasons. Breckinridge will win all of these yellow states that you see here. Lincoln wins every single northern state except Missouri. He dominates, and you can see this region right here is where he gets really most of his electoral votes. John Bell wins those border states that don't really know what to do. They're kind of caught in the middle. And Douglas wins one state. A really pathetic showing for a guy who was supposed to be, really, everyone thought, the next president. So you have a very sectional election here. National politics are gone. All that matters is what does your area of the country think about slavery? And as a result, we're going to get a real problem here, right? You have a country that is totally split. You're either for Lincoln or you're against Lincoln. And as a result, Southerners are incredibly outraged that a guy won who they did not vote for because they took him off the ballot, and B, they see as a real invader, a conqueror. So after years of really threatening, South Carolina is finally going to pull the trigger on secession. December 20th, 1860, they hold a statewide vote, and they decide that they're going to leave the Union. They're going to secede, one of our vocab words. Within a couple weeks, a few more states, 6 more states follow, and they're going to create their own country called the Confederate States of America. And they're going to nominate this guy here who you see in the photo, Jefferson Davis, as their president. He's from Mississippi, and you see behind him the Confederate flag, one of the original versions of the Confederate flag, the stars and bars. Right now, you can imagine if you're president during this time, you're hopefully not going to let this stand, right? You're going to take action as the president, and you're going to bring the South back into the Union. Well, the president at the time is James Buchanan, who, if you remember from our very first political cartoon, is really a joke of a president. And he says, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. This isn't my problem. Lincoln can deal with it when he comes to office, not my issue. He just allows that to happen. He just allows the South to walk away and does absolutely nothing. So Lincoln, for months, has to wait to be inaugurated, and Buchanan's just letting the country fall apart entirely. So Lincoln's finally sworn in March 4th, 1861. He gives an inaugural address, as every president does, and he says, I am going to enforce the laws of the Constitution. That is my job. I don't want to invade you. I don't want to take your slaves. All I want is for you to come back to the Union. So the South has a real decision to make here, like what kind of really entrance they want to give Abraham Lincoln, and they really give him an incredibly violent one. Within a month of Lincoln taking office, the South attacks, as you can see here in this painting, Fort Sumter. Again, one of our vocab words. That's a northern-controlled fort sitting off the coast of South Carolina that has a lot of supplies and could be very useful for a naval port. So the South bombards it, as you can see here, really to hell for 34 hours until the fort finally surrenders to General P.G.T. Beauregard of the South. So you have, within a month of Lincoln's presidency, you have an attack on really the country. So Lincoln now decides that the South is completely in open rebellion, and he is going to declare war on them. He calls for 35,000 volunteers to fight and invade the South, just like the South predicted. And as a result, a couple of those states that were on the edge, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, they're going to join the Confederacy. And now we have officially the 11 states of the Confederate nation, the Confederate States of America. And this event, the attack on Fort Sumter, is the beginning of the American Civil War.